Have you ever wanted to be a genetically engineered master assassin? Live in an alternate world where every cop, waiter, and clown is in peak physical condition? An alternate world where the media tells you that cloning is extremely controversial, and clones themselves are supposedly incredibly rare, yet whenever you leave the house there are thousands of them walking the streets. A world where crime scenes are immediately disturbed without forensic examination so the guests don't get grossed out. And an alternate world where police choose to shoot suspicious looking people on sight instead of arresting them. Welcome to the world of Hitman Blood Money. Hitman Blood Money is probably the game most long-time Hitman fans reminisce about when they think back on the series. The World of Assassination trilogy is great, but Blood Money will always be a personal favourite of mine. In 2006, I must have played the demo mission over 100 times, to the point where most of these lines are permanently burned into my brain.
What the fuck you looking at, Kraken? Gotta check you, white bread.
Who the hell are you? How'd you get in here? Carol Ann! The guilt I feel! I'm so sorry! I know it!
Finally, a game that puts white people in their place. You play as Agent 47, the legendary clone assassin, as you work for the ICA, the International Contract Agency. Aside from the very first tutorial mission, your targets are some of the worst people the world has ever seen, and evoke absolutely no sympathy. Your job is to infiltrate their hideouts, blend in with the crowd, investigate your target, take them out, and then escape the scene of the crime. You are ranked and paid based on the efficiency of each hit. Sneak in, sneak out with nobody knowing you are even there at all? Oh, now that's big money. Oh, you got caught dragging a body and now there's a lot of dead bodies lying around? Yeah, that's coming out of your pay. To become a real silent assassin, you need to exercise patience and restraint. The less the newspapers have to write about you, the better. Get ready to spend a lot of time standing around in bathrooms. You need to learn your target's movements, and even find a way to make their deaths look like an accident. You also need to understand where you can and can't go. A civilian hanging out in the restaurant kitchen is going to look suspicious, but do it while wearing a waiter's uniform, and nobody will think twice. But don't expect to be able to just steal a cop's uniform and walk around anywhere. Most levels have different layers of security and access. A US Marine is going to look out of place climbing around on the White House roof, but a humble carpenter will look like they're just doing their job. A lot of the time, it's a game of trial and error. You will make mistakes. You will barge into the wrong room at the wrong time, and you will almost certainly find out the hard way that disarming an armed guard carries the chance of them firing off a shot. And when you inevitably screw up, you will find yourself transitioning smoothly from Hitman the game to Hitman the movie. Shooting your way out of an undesirable situation is a viable option. The gunplay is pretty terrible at first, especially if you haven't upgraded any of your equipment, but that might be when it's at its best. If you don't save scum and roll with the punches when you get caught, the chaos of a sudden gunfight is actually pretty exhilarating. Bullets fly everywhere, bystanders are hit, and people writhe around on the floor bleeding to death. Having to deal with a mess left behind is actually pretty fun. If you're lucky, the gunshots may have gone unheard and you can get to work disposing of the bodies. If you're unlucky, then you'll find that a full platoon of cops may be bearing down on you. If you take out your pursuers and find a hiding spot to change clothes, then security will eventually settle down and go back to normal. How they do that? I have no idea. If I found several dead bodies that had been stripped of their clothes, I don't think I'd be able to relax after not finding the killer. I don't think I'd relax ever again. So that brings me to the AI. NPC behaviour ranges from genius level IQ to being absolute dum-dums. They all have their own routines and patrol paths. This NPC, for example, is scripted to walk around in a small circle and say,
Getting tired of this damn opera house.
every minute on the dot, so it's up to you to disrupt those routines for your own personal gain. Knowing that a character is delivering a briefcase full of diamonds to a target, why not mug them in an alley and take the diamonds to them yourself to get inside their compound? Maybe take it one step further and put an explosive surprise in the briefcase for them. If you're worried about a security checkpoint discovering your concealed weapons, then throw them over the fence. You can either go around to collect it, or security patrolling the area might find it and take it to the security room, which you can swing by to pick up later. All of the NPC's behaviour is exploitable in some way, but that can all change once you're caught in the act. Watch the NPC hive mind spring into action and suddenly both cops and criminals are willing to set aside their differences to put you in the ground. Once the hive mind goes nuclear, they will hunt you down, use their X-ray vision to get a lock on you, and fire indiscriminately into crowds of civilians. Oh yeah, I forgot this was the American mission. That doesn't just go for security. Leave civilians unattended near dead guards, and they may just pick up their dropped weapons to finish the fight. There is genuinely nothing more embarrassing than getting murked by a suburban housewife out on the town in Las Vegas. On lower difficulties, a fully upgraded 47 is a bit of a tank, capable of taking several shotgun blasts to the chest, so coming out of a hostile encounter and being able to finish the mission is very possible. On higher difficulties, however, 47 is a lot weaker, and starting up a firefight is not advised. The differences between the higher and lower difficulty settings are quite stark and can drastically change the way you approach a mission. So on normal difficulty, you have a huge pool of health and the ability to save up to 7 times. Expert is 3 saves with less health, and Professional is no saves with even less health. Professional also disables all NPCs on the map except for 47 and his targets. I'd say the best difficulty level is the fictional one I imagine that sits between Expert and Professional. No saves during a mission is far too brutal. I think 3 is hard but still very fair, but the map showing all NPCs is way too overpowered. Naturally, as a hired killer making hundreds of thousands of dollars per hit, you live in absolute squalor and reinvest every cent into committing more murders. Between missions you are able to upgrade your weapons and equipment. It's not a linear upgrade path either. 47's iconic silver baller can be turned into a low velocity silent sniper, or a hand cannon that punches through doors. Or you can get a second silver baller and wreak havoc like you're about to lose Bomb Site B. You also get an arsenal of other weapons including a shotgun, SMG, assault rifle, and sniper rifle, all just as customizable as the silver baller. You can also buy health boosts, armor, and better lockpicks. If you are struggling on a particular target, you can buy intel to learn more about them and find new ways to approach the assassination. I love that your hits are rewarded with currency, rather than just points and predetermined unlocks like in the World of Assassination trilogy. It makes my monkey brain feel happy. So let's delve into the story. It's my favourite one in the series, because it's barely even present and almost never interferes with any of the missions. As tensions mount over the proposed legalization of cloning, the ICA finds themselves under attack by a mysterious organisation. Agents are dropping like flies and 47's fate hangs in the yawn. It really doesn't matter. You're just playing as Agent 47 doing his thing while the plot goes on around him. Not even 47 really cares about what's happening.
You and I are all that's left of the Agency 47, and I doubt I'll survive much longer.
I'm sorry to hear that. Has my fee been transferred?
He's a real professional, though I found 47 to be really unlikable as a character in this entry. He shows little emotion, which is fine. He's kind of just a vessel for the player to inhabit, but he kills unnecessarily during cutscenes, which really annoys me. My 47 would never kill that guy. Unless he was in the casino mission. I have no patience for that mission. They tried to humanize him in Hitman Absolution, and it really just didn't work for me. As the framing device draws to a conclusion, and Diana's briefings before missions become more desperate, the stakes do feel higher as you go from the Opera House to the White House. Your arsenal gets more advanced, but the security gets tighter. Beautiful women suddenly want to have sex with you.
Shame to waste such a nice hunk of meat. What a girl's gotta do. What a girl's gotta do.
Wow, IO Interactive. Punish me for being a straight man, why don't you? Despite the raising stakes, the game really doesn't take itself too seriously. This was the entry where the developers realised that a man that can pretend to be anybody, despite looking exactly like an evil assassin, is actually kind of funny. They've since taken it to the next level in the World of Assassination trilogy, where not only can 47 pretend to be anybody, he also inherits all of their skills when he puts on their clothes. The missions take place mostly in the USA, but each location still manages to be quite distinct, except for the back-to-back Mississippi missions. You'll be killing people in casinos, theme parks, nightclubs, during Mardi Gras, and in giant cliffside Playboy mansions. This was the entry that really pushed the accidental death mechanic, where you can kill NPCs and make it look like an accident. So expect to drop chandeliers on people's heads, burn them to death in a pyrotechnics show, or swap out a prop pistol with a real one. But that's not to say that you still can't get your hands dirty. Don't want to let that extra steal your glory on stage? Get up there and shoot the lead yourself. Strangle your enemies to death in their homes. Drop off a briefcase full of diamonds and blow them up with it. Lure beautiful women to an empty office to— oh, god damn it. Every location is brimming with opportunities. In my absolute favourite mission, A New Life, set in a quiet little suburb, you're tasked with murdering a man in witness protection. There are so many things you can do in this one little mission that I've probably played it several dozen times by now, and unlike the World of Assassination trilogy, it really doesn't try to hold your hand with overtly obvious NPC conversations. However, as much as I love the game, there are some issues. The controls are pretty bad sometimes. Most of your actions are tied to 3 different keys. If you're standing in a spot where one of those keys could do more than one action, you'll have to cycle through a list to find the correct one. It's especially annoying when you're trying to pick up something very specific from the floor while NPCs are shooting you to death. The audio was a bit of a hellscape too. The ambient sounds in some of the locations completely threw me off at first, and made me think that there were NPCs nearby when there were none at all. The weapons all sound pretty terrible and lack any kind of impact. In fact, when I played the game for the first time ever, I didn't realise that disarming an NPC carries a chance of accidentally firing off a shot, because the gunshot is so weak and blends in with the sound of the NPC getting elbowed in the face. And of course the pre-rendered cutscenes have really bad compressed sound in them too. Despite some of its minor issues, it's aged incredibly well in the gameplay department. The series has changed a lot over the years. The very first Hitman isn't really much of a Hitman game compared to the rest of the series. Silent Assassin's AI and stealth is way worse than you remember, and Contracts is good, but it still has the same clunkiness of Silent Assassin. Blood Money is probably the farthest back I would recommend if I wanted to introduce somebody to the series. The games before it make you put up with a lot just to start really getting into it. Blood Money's tutorial is one of the most entertaining tutorials I've ever played, and after it's done, you know basically everything there is about the game and can dive right in. Hitman Blood Money. After all these years, it totally holds up. It's still challenging, fun, and extremely entertaining. What other game allows you to impersonate your target's pool boy to seduce his wife? She led me on, so I gave her a Glasgow kiss. Then I murdered her husband, along with the entire neighbourhood. No witnesses. What other game skips sending you to horny jail and instead sends you straight to horny hell? Thank you for joining me on this journey. I really appreciate it. See you next time.
I don't think you should be here.